You asked me if I was ready, and I said yes, which wasn't necessarily a lie, but I'm trying to open a story here. I'm trying to open a link, and it's doing that ridiculous spinning circle thing, and it's not helping me out. Hey, I'm your host, Professor Paul Markle, and welcome to Student of the Gun Radio. If you're new, I'm glad that you joined us.
Even if you're not new, you're welcome.
Well, even if you're not new. If you're new, if you've been here the whole time, you've been here for a week, whatever. And that voice that you hear on the other side of the microphone there is Jared. He is my co-host, the producer, the man with the plan, and an all-around good guy. That is Jared. He's shaking his head. Did I embarrass?
I'm glad.
Did I embarrass you?
No, I don't get embarrassed. I'm past that point in my life.
Are you past that point in your life? Are you secure in your masculinity?
I am completely 100% secure in my masculinity.
You are. I am as well. This is what I wanted to start out with, and we should have used it during the mindset, but it's worth saying now. So here we go. This is the law. The purpose of fighting is to win. There is no possible victory in defense. The sword is more important than the shield, and skill is more important than either. The final weapon is the brain. All else is supplemental. And that's a quote from John Steinbeck from his last and unfinished works, The Acts of King Arthur and His Noble Knights. And actually, I went to Amazon.com, Jared, and it looks to me like someone finished the book and that you can purchase it now. But that quote right there from Steinbeck is one that I have used many times in training, to open training classes. And I don't know if I mentioned that I used to have the kids do that when I was teaching the military people.
I don't think you mentioned it here on the radio.
Okay, well, I mentioned it in the book. But that right there, that sets the tone. That sets the mindset. It establishes the mindset that the purpose of fighting is to win. There is no possible victory in defense. The sword is more important than the shield, and skill is more important than either. The final weapon is the brain. All else is supplemental. And if you're doing training, if you're engaging in training, I would highly recommend that you post that. That saying, that quote is posted, and it's up on the wall inside Fight U at Student of the Gun University for all of our students to read. But right there, that really sets it up. And when it comes to defending yourself with a firearm or any other tool, the fact of the matter is we as a gun culture, as a gun community, we often get all wrapped around the axle about over caliber and brand name and all this superfluous junk, and we forget what it's all about. That the purpose of fighting is to win. There is no victory in defense. And so if you're going to fight a war, let's say you're a country like the United States of America, and there are creatures in the world that seek your demise, and they seek to kill your citizens and subjugate you with their 7th century laws, and you're going to fight them. The purpose of fighting them is to win, not to achieve a stalemate, not to achieve a police action. The purpose of fighting is to win. And also, how many times do you hear people talk about defense? Defensive this, defensive that, defensive. And people love to wrap themselves up in the reasonable language of defense and defensive and so forth. And they're like, well, that's in the law, man. Self-defense. I'm like, yeah, I understand. But if you took it to the extreme, then what you could say is that citizens should be allowed to cover themselves in body armor but not own guns, because that's defensive, right? Is that correct? The greatest boxers in the world that have a really good guard, that's defense. But if they don't throw a punch, Jared, if you just guard the whole time but don't throw a punch, can you win a fight?
Nope.
No. I can take a punch. I can guard really well. Yeah, I got that. But if you don't throw a punch, if you don't throw a kick, you're not going to win. Eventually, even a mediocre boxer is going to get through your guard and knock you out.
Yeah, but everybody wins.
But then everyone, yeah. When you get in a cage and they lock it, Does everyone win? Is everyone a winner?
No, the audience they are all winners.
They're winners, but the people inside, one's going to win, one's going to lose. So keep that in mind. I've been wanting to share that with you folks, and for whatever reason, I haven't shared it with you. So
you know what? I've decided that the word lose is offensive, and I don't want to hear it anymore. So we should ban the word lose, because losers...
Does it hurt people's feelings?
It hurts people's feelings to know that they're losers.
Oh, okay. So everyone wins. Actually, when everyone wins, everyone loses. Ooh.
You can't
wrap
say
your
that.
brain around that. If everyone
That's what I never understood. Everyone's a winner. Well, if everyone's a winner, then
everyone's a loser, too.
There is no winning and losing if everyone's a winner. It's always... There is nothing.
It's nothingness.
It's just nothing.
Well, all right. This segment of Student of the Gun is brought to you by whom? It is brought to you by Velocity Triggers at velocitytriggers.com.
It's raining really hard.
It is raining really hard. It is storming here on the Gulf Coast, the beautiful Gulf Coast, the tropical Gulf Coast.
It's been raining all week. It's Thursday and it's still raining.
Well, it's that time. It must be all that global warming.
Yeah.
Don't forget about Brownells at brownells.com. If you own a gun, Brownells has something for you. I guarantee it. Go to brownells.com and browse around, and you'll find what you need. And, Jared, should people buy what they need now, or should they wait until there's a crisis and then panic buy?
They should have bought what they needed like 5 years ago. But, now is the time.
Now, I think what you should do is you should just wait. And then when there's a crisis and everyone in America is buying that object, then you should get online and complain that people are hoarding. That's the best way to do it. I think that's the best plan.
I think I'm going to try that plan out this year. I'm just going to wait until there's a threat of a hurricane down here, and then I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm just going to keep McDonald's sauce packets and stuff in the
Taco
fridge.
Bell sauce packets.
Go to McDonald's and Taco Bell each day until they threaten a hurricane. Then I'll go to the store and I'll buy some bread and food.
That's the best way to do it.
So.
To wait until a hurricane is like 24 hours out, and then flock to the stores and panic buy with everyone else. That's the best plan.
On a serious note, the people at Wise Foods, they're pretty righteous, because I have, and they don't sponsor our show, so this is just kind of, they just sent me, actually I won a contest, and I have, 6 months worth of Wise food.
Oh, you're obviously a paranoid prepper. You're like one of those crazy doomsday preppers because you have food.
Yeah.
But
it actually tastes good, and I'm a winner because I won a contest.
Well, folks, the reason that we mention this, besides being tongue-in-cheek, and if you don't speak sarcasm, you need your sarcasm translator usually to listen to this show, or you need to listen a lot more, and then you'll get it. What have we got going on right now? Well, have you noticed a pattern? Every time the ammunition manufacturers and the wholesalers and the retailers that they catch up and they've got an ample supply of whatever on the shelves, something happens to drive a panic buy. Have you noticed that, Jared? And it's not us, it's outside forces. What have we been telling you? Jared, did I not do a video on the homeroom called The End of the Guns and Ammo Crisis?
Yeah. I think, you know what? It's time that we post those videos. I think I did that already, actually. I did that earlier this week.
The End of the Guns and Ammo Crisis?
No, I'm gonna start with the ammo shortage part 1, and then I'll post the rest of it up after that. But it's topical right now.
Well, and here's the deal, dudes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't figured this out yet, we're in such a fragile state as a nation that every ripple sends people into a panic. And you should not want to panic. You shouldn't be in that situation where, oh, Lord, if I don't buy it now, it's going to all be gone. Folks, come on, man. I've been telling you guys, and I know some of you listened, and congratulations. I'm glad for you. But what do we have? We've got a situation where the cost of 5.56 or 2.23 ammo is coming down. It's getting reasonable again. You know, it was insane for a while. We had the $1 per shot 2.23. You know, $19 for a box of 20, and that kind of insanity. And I'm not talking about match grade. I'm talking about ball ammo, FMJ practice ammo. Well, now we've finally gotten back down to the point where 5.56, 223. It's around 30 to 35 cents a shot, which isn't cheap, but that's about where it should be. Well, what happens? The ATF decides that, well, they're circulating a memorandum where they are saying that they're considering using executive action to ban a certain product, a certain type of ammo. And what happened? Well, immediately people got word of it, and they got online, and that company, that CTD company in Texas, and that's a shame that they're in Texas, but they immediately jumped the cost of was 1,000 rounds of green tip. They jumped the cost up to like $850 a can or something like that, like within a day. And folks, I'm telling you, get out of that panic buying. Do the smart thing. Buy a little bit at a time each week when you have some money. And it goes not just with ammunition, but it goes with food. It goes with everything else. I want you, as a student of the gun, I want you to be in the prepared column. I want you to be in the ready column. I don't want you to be a panic buyer. I don't want you to be caught up in all this. I want you to be the one who can sit back and laugh at all the other knuckleheads that are paying $1 a shot for 223. And it's only a matter of time until some artard in Congress decides that they're going to come up with another ban of this or ban of that. What are you going to do if the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, Explosives, Chips, and Salsa, when they decide that 30-round magazines are destructive devices? What are you going to do then? Well, they'll never do that. Really? They'll never do that. Okay. Wrap yourself in that blanket. I hope it keeps you warm. But that's the whole reason we wanted to mention the whole thing about the Brownells and velocity triggers. And if you're smart, you're going to buy a little bit at a time so that you have what you need and that you're not panicking. Because the time to do it is now. The time to do it is not next week or in a month or what have you. Be prepared all the time. We talk about that in the Patriot Fire Team book. First chapter, needs versus wants. There you go. But that's not what we're going to talk about right now. What we're going to talk about right now is... This story comes to us from Cal Guns Foundation. Cal Guns would be the California Gun Owners Association there. It's not the AAFU, but it's close. Dateline, February 26, 2015. Federal court. California handgun roster does not violate Second Amendment rights. Dateline, Sacramento, California. In response to a federal district court decision released today on the constitutionality of the state of California's Unsafe Handgun Act, handgun roster, and microstamping, the Cal Guns Foundation has released the following statement. Jared, do you want to go ahead and read that statement there?
Yeah, I can do that.
It starts with, "We are disappointed."
We are disappointed that the district court sidestepped a clear violation of Second Amendment civil rights in its decision today. However, we are absolutely committed to litigating this case as far as necessary to reverse this incorrect ruling and restore the right to keep and bear modern handguns in the Golden State.
All right, for those of you that don't know what this is all about, those of you that live in free America, in California, you can't own a handgun. You can't purchase a handgun until the state has decided that you're allowed to do that. You're like, excuse me, baking powder? I think I had some stupid in my ear there. Let me shake my head. No, in the People's Republic of California, they have an Unsafe Handgun Act that has given the state permission to decide what guns, and not what style of guns or what capacity of guns, but very specifically what gun in and of itself. So let's say you're Sturm Ruger and you come up with a new handgun, the XYZ 123, and you want to sell it to the slaves of California. Well, before the slaves of California are allowed to purchase that gun, and this is what I've gotten from the stats, or what I've gotten from the manufacturers themselves, you have to take 3 of those individual units, 3 units of the gun that you want to be approved, and you have to ship those to California. to the bureaucracy, to the state, to the correct bureaucracy, and then they will test them and decide whether or not, based upon their discretion, whether or not the slaves in California will be allowed to purchase your gun. So if you're Glock, Colt, Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Kel-Tec, whatever, SIG, you name it, and you want to sell a gun to the slaves of California, the first thing you have to do is you have to send 3 of those to California, and they don't send them back to you. They keep them, and then they test them, and then whatever they do with them. And then they will decide, and it may be weeks, months, years. Now, probably not years, but definitely months before they give you either the thumbs up, yes, we will allow the slaves of California to buy this gun, or they tell you, no, we're not going to allow the peasants to own these and until you make this change that we've required. That's why a lot of companies, when you see guns for sale, it says not for sale in the People's Republic of California, because screw them. And you say, well, Paul, that's just reasonable, right? I mean, the state of California, the People's Republic, they have the best interest of the slaves at heart, because obviously the slaves who live in California aren't smart enough to know what they should and shouldn't own. We need a state bureaucracy to give its specific approval to the slaves. And you say, all right, let's just go down that path for a second. And here we have the 9th District Court of the United States. And the 9th Circuit Court says, now listen to this, okay. The 9th Circuit Court stated that it is, even though you're only allowed to own certain guns, the fact that you can own guns in California means that the law does not violate the Second Amendment. So what they're saying, so by this precedent that they're establishing, what the 9th Circuit Court is saying, if California were to come out with a law that says you peasants are allowed to own a single-shot .22 pistol, a bolt-action single-shot pistol, that is, quote, technically a gun, that is a firearm. So as long as the state allows you to own one single approved gun, then that doesn't violate the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America, and therefore the law is okay. It's approved. It's constitutional because you're being allowed to own a gun. So if you take the stretch, say, okay, as long as the state allows you to own a single shot Harrington and Richardson 20 gauge shotgun, then you can technically own a firearm. Therefore, all the other laws don't violate the Second Amendment. Do you think that's correct? Do you think that's a good thing? You say, I don't live in California, so I don't care. You should care, because the 9th District Court is not just about California, okay? That is a federal court, and they're establishing precedent.
Yeah, but there's I don't understand how that works, because there's already precedent that rules that's against this decision that they've made, so they didn't use that precedent. You
mean like the Heller case and the Chicago case?
Yeah, Heller and McDonald versus Chicago.
Well,
that's a good example.
So you've got the Chicago case, you've got the Heller case in D.C., but what do we also know? After the Heller case in D.C., the court finds that the D.C. prohibition against gun ownership is unconstitutional. But
how come you can do it in California?
Well, what did they do? But what do we know about D.C.? Can you just go into a store, buy a gun, and take it home?
No.
No. You got to go through a whole big, huge. I mean, there have been books. There have literally been books written about the difficulties of legally purchasing a handgun in the District of Columbia. So you would think that once the Supreme Court says, hey, look, you cannot restrict people from owning guns, they're like, well, no, we can allow them to own them, but in order to exercise your right, you have to follow the following steps. You have to take the following state-approved steps. Consider it like this. Let's say there was, in the Bill of Rights, let's say there was an amendment that said that the state could not establish a state religion. Let's say that there was an amendment that guaranteed a freedom of the press. Let's say that there was such a thing. Oh, there is such a thing? Well, by this thinking, what you could legitimately say is, well, yeah, the First Amendment guarantees you a freedom of the press. You can write books and you can read books. But the state has decided that there are certain kinds of books that you should not be allowed to own or read. We have a state list of approved books. So there's 1,410 books on the state-approved list. You say, yeah, but I don't want to read those books. I want to read these. And so you sue the state, and you say, the state is infringing upon my First Amendment rights by telling me that I can't read these certain books or own them. And so the court steps in and says, whoa, the state has an approved list of books. Why don't you just read those books? Why do you think that you need to read other books that are not on the state-approved list? So by this thinking, as long as you're allowed to read some books, as long as you have access to certain books, then they're not violating your First Amendment right. Is that not the same, Jared, or am I smoking crack over here in the glass booth of emotion?
The glass booth of emotion. There it definitely is no crack. He is not consuming any crack over there.
In the glass case of emotion.
In the glass case of emotion. How's your little shaky doll over there? Do you need it?
No, not yet.
We still haven't named him.
Nothing's really like tripped my trigger yet. I'm still kind of waiting.
Yeah. So keep your suggestions coming.
People have told me that I should name it Barry or Shannon or
yeah, but we already have Shannon
or Bloomberg or whatever. Well, I don't hate it. I don't despise it. So I mean, if I name it Nanny Bloomberg, then that's kind of wrong, you know.
He's petting it right now.
I'm not going to name it Barry.
Now he's shaking it.
So,
look, if you guys haven't seen the doll yet, it's freaking awesome.
The shaky,
the shaky doll,
the shaky stress doll that I was given by the lovely Mrs. Markle for Christmas.
Oh, speaking of which, yeah. So she'll be on in the near future.
Oh, you think that's going to happen?
Oh, it is. Go to Instagram.com/studentofthegun or just search Student of the Gun on Instagram and check out the little doll and give us a name for it.
It's the shaky stress doll that hangs out in the case. So what do you think, folks? You're smart people out there. Now, if you guys recall, if you know your history, I know a lot of you don't because you went to public school in the last 20 years, but if you know your history, in the United States of America, after Reconstruction, after the Civil War, after the Emancipation Proclamation, I know some of you don't listen to rap music, but after that, what you had a situation in the United States of America where certain people were segregated from other types of people. And they established this doctrine called separate but equal. And what certain people tried to say, certain states, certain agencies, organizations said that no. Everyone is equal, but they're just separate from each other. And that's not unconstitutional because, you know, everyone is equal, but they're separate. On May 17th, 1954, Chief Justice Earl Warren delivered a unanimous Supreme Court decision in a landmark civil rights case. That was Brown versus the Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas. It says the court found that the state-sanctioned segregation of public schools violated the 14th Amendment. The decision marked the end of separate but equal precedent set by the Supreme Court 60 years earlier in Plessy versus Ferguson. So what they decided was that, yeah, now does it seem to me that, have you ever heard the phrase that a right restricted is a right denied, or a right infringed is a right denied? Jared, have you ever heard that? Anything like that?
Yes.
So is it really a right if I have to ask permission from the government? If I have to say, Mother, may I, please, can I do this, is it really a right or is it a privilege? So what we have in California, in the People's Republic of California, is you don't have a right to own a firearm. You have the privilege to own a firearm. And the state has been reinforced by the Ninth District Court that the privilege to own a firearm can be revoked or restricted anytime the state feels like it, and suck it. That's basically what this says. So congratulations to all of you slaves who still reside in the glorious People's Republic of California. All right, moving on. The next segment of Student of the Gun Radio is brought to you by XS Sights, the fastest sights in any light. You can check them out at xssights.com. Don't forget about our friends at SWAT Fuel, swatfuel.com. If you decide to make a purchase on their website, make sure you use the promo code SOTG2014. You do that, you're going to save yourself 20% off of your total order. And how righteous is that? Ladies and gentlemen, that is righteous. Let's talk about the mobile app for a second. We have a Student of the Gun mobile app, a mobile application for your Android phone or your iPhone or your iPad or your iDevice, whatever your iDevice happens to be, or your Galaxy 2 or your whatever, your Motorola XYZ. You can either get it at the Google Play Store or the iTunes Store, and it's free because of our friends at Century Arms. Now, one of the things that we have on there is, we got a lot of stuff on there, don't we, Jared? We've got the access to the radio show. We got access to the website. We got access to the free report, the One Box Workout. You can actually click it, open it up on your phone, and use it while you're at the range. How cool is that? You don't even have to print it out. You can go to the range, open it, and you can follow the directions and use it. But we have what's it called over there, Jerry? Is it called fan mail or comments or questions?
Fan mail tab.
There's a fan mail tab, and some of you guys have posted some questions in there, some suggestions. And I told Jared, I said, during this segment, what I want you to do is just open up the app, and if there's any questions that you think would be applicable to not just the individual who asked it, but everybody on the listening audience, go ahead and we'll open that up for a forum. So is there anything in there that you want to touch on or address or talk about?
Let's talk about... We'll address this question here. Let me get to... I'm just going to read the whole thing.
Okay.
It's about RMR on an EDC gun. It says, looking to put a RMR on an EDC. My body size is not an issue for full-size carry. Is it pointless to mount a RMR on a G19 as opposed to a G17? And I just clicked the button so it opened it up. I lost my spot.
Okay. Well, I can answer that question. First of all, we need to do a definition. We need to break it down. And RMR is basically a red dot sight, and that is a specific type of sight that you get from Trijicon. There's lots of mini red dots out there now. Aimpoint has mini red dots. Loophole has mini red dots. EOTech has mini red dots. Trijicon has mini red dots. And what he's talking about specifically is there's a lot of guns now. Glock just released one finally, and Smith & Wesson beat him to the punch with the Core, the CORE, where you can mount a red dot optic onto a pistol, onto a handgun. And we've been doing this for years. Gun gamers have been doing this for years and years and years, putting red dots on optics, red dots on guns. But they were basically sporting guns. They were match guns. They weren't guns that you would actually carry on you. And so the question that we have before us now is it worthwhile to put a red dot onto and when he says EDC, it's an everyday carry gun. The answer is yes. And the answer to you is with the Glock 19, I say go for it. If you want to carry a 17, rock on, go crazy. But you can do it on a 19 as well. As a matter of fact, our good friend Dave Biggers, and there's something you guys don't know. Dave Biggers worked for XS Sights for a long, long time. He was their marketing director. So Dave knows sights. He knows what it's like to try and convince people to do something a little bit different. 10, 12 years ago, people were like, what are those XS Sights? And, even today, people are like, I don't know, or I don't know if they're accurate enough. It's like, calm down, dude. So Dave knows a little bit about that. And Dave actually, he kind of pioneered this as far as the EDC guns. Dave was behind the scenes talking with manufacturers, handgun manufacturers, optics manufacturers, specifically ones that made mini red dots. 3-4 years ago, he was doing this. And so the fruits of his efforts, and unfortunately a lot of those efforts have been underappreciated or I guess he hasn't gotten the credit that he deserves. But I know for a fact that Dave Biggers sent off a G19 slide, and when this wasn't cool, when he just had to have somebody do it for him, and he had them mount a mini red dot on it. And he started working with it, and one of the things that people said, well, I want to have co-witness sights. Okay, rock on. And that's what I would tell you right now. Who's this come from? What's our guy that I'm at? Who's the guy that I'm asking the question?
Let me scroll back up here. Matthew Williams?
Matthew, okay, check this out. No?
Up,
I'm wrong.
Wow. Oh, it was Matthew Williams. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I saw his picture. He posted a couple different things on here.
All right,
I saw
cool.
the picture.
One thing that is valuable to have if you're going to use, whether it's an RMR or whatever, is a set of co-witness sights. And you're like, well, how am I going to do that? Well, dude, XS Sights actually just released their suppressor height sights. And suppressor height sights, in addition to say, well, I don't care about suppressors. I don't own one. I don't plan on owning one. I don't care. Well, cool. But if you're going to put a mini red dot on a pistol, you want to plan for a failure. Let's say God hates you and your sight dies. Now, the sights they make today are really good. They're high quality. They're tough as nails. But, hey, whatever. Go ahead and set yourself up with a set of co-witnessed suppressor height sights because they stick up a little higher off the slide. You say, well, will those work in my holster? Yes and no. Some of them, we posted a picture. I just took the suppressor height sights from XS, and I put them on a G17. And one of the first things people said is, will it work in holsters? Or will it work in my holster? I don't know if it'll work in your holster. I know that it will work in crossbreed holsters because I tried it in the crossbreed Super Tuck and in the belt slide, and it worked in both of them. And it also worked in the Ojai too. Now, there are going to be certain holsters where they make it small, or a lot of them make a really generous sight channel because they don't know what height of sights that the end user is going to be using, the end user is going to have, so they kind of figure that out. We're like, well, we need to give the user a pretty good sight channel so we don't have any issues. It's going to be based upon whatever your favorite thing is, and you're going to have to try it out. But yeah, the answer to the question is I really think you should go for it. If you want to put it on a G19, rock on. If you're happy with a G17, rock on too.
Make sure you train with it.
Yeah, you get it. Well, somebody that's going to do that is actually somebody that's going to shoot their guns.
Yeah.
So we don't have any worries about that. So that was our mobile app discussion for the day.
Well, we've got another one. It's actually from the same dude, and it's just kind of it's not really a long answer question. It's kind of a teaser. It says, on your advice, I've read Paul Howe's book, Leadership and Preparing for the Fight. I've also picked up a few of his instructional videos. It sounds like Professor Paul and Mr. Howe are pals. What are the odds of getting him on the show? I think that's worth a thought. I think that we should put him on the grad program, bonus hour.
Oh, absolutely.
For our dedicated members, because they will definitely benefit from his
Yeah, that
discussion.
is true. I don't know I have no idea what Paul's schedule is. I don't claim to do that. Paul Howe is a mutual acquaintance, and I would say friend. I've actually been to his place in Texas, in Nacogdoches, Texas. And just behind the scenes, I actually happen to know that a good friend of mine is working with Paul to kind of update, and things are going on there.
Things are going on there.
At CSAT. Things are going on at CSAT. And I read that, and see, my thought process was that when those things that happen at CSAT become a public reality, that is when that would be the time to do that.
Okay. So yeah, well, look for that in the future, and look for the updates and stuff that's going to come from CSAT. Now, speaking of the bonus hour bonus hour grad program, if you can hear my voice right now, you've got until Friday morning at 0400 if you want to get the March issue of the Tactical Tutor and that episode we talk about bacon censorship. Sign up for the grad program. Again, go to studentthegunradio.com, click on the little grad program banner, and you will get the March issue of the Tactical Tutor. And what did you talk about in that one? Mindset. Kind of goes along with yesterday's fitness talk. So do that.
I like fitness.
Do you? I'm sure you do. Moving on. Oh, speaking of psychiatrists,
Oh,
that
speaking of
leads right into me needing one.
Really? All right. This story comes to us from. Oh, do you want to go ahead and where did it come to us from? From the CTVnews.ca. Well, .ca. What country is .ca?
California.
No, that would be KA for the People's Republic of California.
Is that true?
Yeah, .ka for California.
Well, so that means that it comes from Canada.
That's right.
Take off through the grapevine door. Take off. It's a beauty way to go. Take off through the grapevine door.
All right, thank you, Geddy Lee, for helping us take off to the Great White North. Vince Lee, or Lie, I'm pretty sure it's Lee, though, it's L-I, who beheaded a bus passenger, should go to group home, says psychiatrist. I'm sorry, excuse me, I had a little bit of socialist stupidity stuck in my ear. Let me reread that. Okay. Dateline, February 23rd, Winnipeg. Experts it's not in quotes, but let's go ahead. Experts are recommending that a man who beheaded a fellow passenger aboard a Greyhound bus should be transferred from a mental facility to a Winnipeg hospital with an eye to moving him to a community group home.
What?
Do you remember when, was it Toronto, where they gave the guy who murdered his mother and chopped her head off, they gave him a day pass, and then he didn't come back from his day pass, and they had to send the police out to get him, and they're like, oh, no one was in jeopardy, no one was in danger, but you shouldn't approach him. You remember that story? They're like, well, we don't know that anyone was in danger or anything like that, but we're also recommending that you don't approach him or make contact with him. And then the cops finally scooped him up and brought him back. So here's what we do in Canada. You murder someone, you cut their head off, and the Canadian socialist psychologists think that a good way to rehabilitate you is just to go ahead and introduce you back into the general public. You know, give them a day pass. Let them see, let people see how they function, how they handle it out in society. Are you kidding me? Whew. And it goes on. And this is line 2 of the story. It has also been, Jared, this is like psycho stuff. It has also been suggested that Vince Lee be granted unescorted outings in the city. Lee's psychiatrist, Dr. Stephen Kramer, or Creamer, it's Kremer, told a criminal code board review hearing Monday that Lee has shown profound improvement and is a low risk to reoffend. How do you go from being a schizo who thinks it's cool to chop someone's head off on a Greyhound bus to, I'm feeling a lot better now? Oh, well, this was 2008 that he went schizo and cut this guy's head off. So, I mean, he's obviously, he's doing well now. Lee, 46, has not had any hallucinations in over a year and understands that he needs to take his medication, Kramer said. Should Lee be transferred to a group home? Staff there would ensure he continues his medication and manages his schizophrenia. His likelihood to re-engage in violence is low. Hey, Dr. Kramer, are you willing to bet your life on the fact that Mr. Lee will not re-engage in violent behavior? Are you willing to bet your life? I've got a better question for Mr. Kramer, Dr. Kramer there. Do you have a wife, Dr. Kramer? Do you have a daughter? Do you have children? Do you have a mother? Are you willing to risk their lives on your assessment that Mr. Lee probably will not re-engage in violent behavior? So here's the deal. If you're in Canada and you're so inclined to commit murder, What do you think the best way to kill someone in Canada is, Jared? If you want to kill someone and then you want to be let out on a day pass to go watch the Blue Jays or, catch a show.
I'm going to go with beheading.
Yeah. I'm guessing that if Mr. Lee would have shot someone to death, that we wouldn't be having this conversation right now because guns are bad and using guns is bad. But apparently using a pocket knife to saw someone's head off, that's not such a bad thing in Canada. People, if you're listening to me in Canada, I've already told you, your country is gone. When you've got psychos like Dr. Kramer, I'm not talking about Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee is a psycho who was captured, and apparently no one was able to stop him on the Greyhound bus from stabbing, mutilating, and beheading a person named McLean. So who speaks for the dead in Canada? Who speaks up for the dead? Where's the psychiatrist that speaks on behalf of the dead and the murdered and the maimed? I'm listening. Who is that, Jared? Who speaks for the dead in Canada? Apparently no one does. Apparently in Canada, once you've been murdered, your rights no longer exist. The only people that have rights are vicious killers and murderers and psychos that like to chop people's heads off. In Canada, those are the people that we need to be concerned with. We need to be concerned with their rehabilitation. But if you're the victim of one of these psychopaths, well, I guess it just kind of sucked to be you, and you shouldn't have been there. And this, folks, I can't even fathom that we live in a world where someone would go in front of a board, a criminal code board, and say, yeah, I know that this dude went schizo and cut somebody's head off on a bus, but he's taking his meds, So let's let him go out into, let's let him go out into Toronto. Let's let him go downtown, catch a Blue Jays game, get some popcorn. Maybe he could go up to the Sky Needle and look down at the city. That'd be fun for him. Don't you think that'd be fun for him, Jared? I'm really concerned that Mr. Lee feels ostracized just because he murdered someone and cut their head off. I mean, that doesn't mean that you don't get to go out for the day, feed the pigeons. Maybe he can stop in and buy himself a Cuban cigar. Oh, sweet Buddha. Oh. Take off, eh?
Did you expect anything different? I mean,
I don't even know what to say.
We should be like them.
And that's right. Every liberal, left-wing, puke-faced scumbag elitist in America points to Canada and says, look how wonderful the Canadian system is. We need to emulate them. We should be just like them. Hey, maybe that dude that chopped the lady's head off for the missionary from the Religion of Peace killed the woman in Oklahoma City. Maybe we could give him a day pass to, go to downtown Tulsa and, see, he's taking his meds.
Yeah.
Well, if he agrees to take his medication, well, then it'd be okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Maybe he's at a low threat to re-engage.
So I'm kind of sad because it's the end of the day on Thursday.
Oh, I know.
And we have to wait till Monday. Well, I'm kind of happy because we get to do the fun stuff tomorrow.
Okay. Well,
Friday morning.
We've been, and I don't mean to tease you, but we're trying to line up a couple of guests for the next couple of, this week and next week. We were supposed to have a guest on last week, but he got real busy with his job and he couldn't come on. And I'm kind of glad we didn't tease you with his name because you'd have been disappointed. But we've got some folks that are lined up. They're going to be our special guests on the bonus hour. And if you're a grad program member, you obviously get the bonus hour every Friday in the Tactical Tutor newsletter, and you get to hear about stuff first. And
Tactical Tutor is once a month.
That's right. That's once a month. Thank you for correcting me. Well, or clarifying.
Yeah, clarifying.
We clarified it. But for those of you that are public listeners, we want you to have a fun weekend. Stay safe out there. Be armed. Be ready. Be a beginner once, but you really need to be a student for life. And for those of you that are grad program members, well, check your box tomorrow because there's going to be a new show right in there, and you can listen to it on Friday. All right, folks, that's it. Talk to you later.